The statistic I'm about to share with you should greatly concern every man, woman, and child living in Oklahoma. The second leading cause of death for women in our state is violence. Heart disease is number one, violence number two. Taylor Jackson joins us now with more on that very disturbing reality. Taylor.
Rich, each year at the state capitol, the YWCA holds a commemorative ceremony to remember the victims of domestic violence. And each year since 2020, the number of women being abused has increased.
Many of the women who are killed never seek services.
1 in 3 women in the United States has experienced some form of mental or physical abuse by their significant other. One of those women is Kylie McCracken Howard.
In the beginning, he was very charming. He was a people pleaser.
Kylie is describing her relationship with her ex-husband that started 14 years ago. Many abusers show no red flags at the beginning of the relationship, but their good behavior changes over time.
The beginning, it started out with small things like he lied about being colorblind. Nobody needs to lie about that.
The YWCA is one of several organizations in the state of Oklahoma that helps women like Kylie leave violent relationships. Brendan Pasley is the Chief Compliance Officer for YWCA. He says that while the organization offers multiple resources for women, they are most known for their emergency shelter.
And so we have a 30 to 60 day emergency shelter that serves Oklahoma County. Unfortunately, we receive so many requests for victims and survivors who are seeking shelter that we literally have to set the bar at people who are seeking shelter and are currently in danger.
In 2020, Oklahoma saw a record-breaking number of domestic violence cases.
In the state of Oklahoma, we have our own Domestic Violence Fatality Review Board. Those numbers have now gone beyond what they've ever been before. We had 118 victims in 2020.
According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, on a single day in 2020, domestic violence hotlines received more than 21,000 calls. More than 200 women and children seek refuge in an emergency shelter or housing provided by domestic violence programs in Oklahoma.
In short, when one man kills one woman. Oklahoma has been in that top 10 many times. We've been third in the nation 3 times. As of recently, Violence Policy Center issued its report, and we are now number 2 in the nation. This is the first time that's ever happened.
Abusers use fear, isolation, and manipulation to control their victims.
We had moved to a tiny little town 11 hours away from any of my family. I was not allowed to have friends. I was not allowed to work outside the home. So I knew nobody there. And I had 2 toddlers that I was to care for on my own.
McCracken Howard was given a small allowance to buy much-needed supplies for her and her 2 children.
I made the girls' clothes because I was not given money to go out and buy them clothing. I had no vehicle. He took my vehicle and gave it to another woman.
McCracken Howard's abuser controlled her every move and made it hard for her to leave the 10-year relationship.
We couldn't leave. He monitored, he had tracking devices on my phone, so he would monitor where I was. And so even if I had a way to reach out to somebody for help, he would have gotten there first.
He even used their children as leverage for her to stay.
I'm gonna make sure you never see them again. If you try to leave me, I will take them and you will never see them again. And so you don't leave. In the moment, it feels like that's your only choice. So there isn't a right choice and a wrong choice. There's a, this is what I'm doing right now to stay alive. And this is what I'm doing right now to keep my children alive.
McCracken Howard says eventually she knew that she had to leave the relationship.
I reached a point where I knew I couldn't take care of my children anymore, and where I was scared for their safety. We were in a situation where there were other people being brought into the relationship that were then being physically abusive to my children.
In Oklahoma, the Protection from Abuse Act was made to assist domestic violence victims.
We arguably have some pretty good victim-friendly laws in the state of Oklahoma. The issues are, however, that our laws are only as good as their interpretation and their enforcement.
However, Kylie says more needs to be done to protect women and children.
The state doesn't do anything. You can find some private shelters and organizations that are willing to help, and there's some really good ones, but they're hard to find and they are very limited capacity and they're usually full.
Paisley says YWCA is actively working to improve their efforts in helping victims.
And we have relationships with legislators on both sides of the aisle that really have prioritized domestic violence survivors. And so we have had a couple of legislative forums here at the Capitol.
McCracken Howard is grateful to be a survivor and hopes her story will inspire other women.
Leaving is the most dangerous time. And it is. But it's also your only chance, because the alternative ends the same. If you stay, they aren't just going to stop.
The YWCA says 40% of Oklahoma women experience physical violence from their intimate partner. If you believe you or someone you know is in a violent relationship and needs help, call 1-800-522-SAFE.